Rachel, let's talk a little bit about trust and building trust as whether folks have a brand new president or chancellor or they've been there for some time. Many times we're talking about attempting to get access and the ear and the understanding, let alone training of technology skills. So what has been critical ways and successful ways that you've done this in the past? And how might we even see that on the fly? For some folks, that might actually mean you get on their calendar weekly or every other week. What have been some other strategies that have been helpful to build your relationship over time in maybe some unique ways?
Yeah, so I might let Teresa talk about how she gives me access, but I can talk about how I ask for it, right? So I think you have to remember as a communications professional, especially if you're thinking about someone, she's very open. She's open with everyone. She'll talk with everyone. So that has been easy for me, but it's not always like that with the president. And so just remember that it is an incredible act of trust to let someone else speak for you, to let another human who is, fallible and can make mistakes be your voice and even advise you on how to speak for yourself. People who are in positions of power have been doing this work for a long time without the advocacy of communicators. And so when you come into a position and you're told it's time to let someone else write your quotes, that's scary. That's a lot of trust in understanding that someone else can speak your voice and walk your walk. And so treat it like any other relationship where you're building trust, get to know the person, get to know what their goals are, what their needs are. A thing that I tell a lot of people privately is get to know what their insecurities are. Where are the areas where they know maybe their reputation needs some rehabbing, or I can come across this certain way. I think that's something that Teresa was very honest with me about. In her first few weeks, she said, here are some ways I can come across that maybe aren't positive. Help me if I do that, And so I had the vulnerability with her to say, okay, here are some ways I think we can say that more effectively, or we can make sure that doesn't come across because you are so great and so powerful and so strong. And then what are areas where they face criticism, even if it's undue, so we are public facing. As she says, we run a small city here. So where are places where there might be criticism that you can counteract as a communicator? And then bring all of those things to your president, to your vice president, and say, here are the ways I can help you fix these issues. Here are the ways I can help you build your brand. I can help you support your reputation. And then not only do we have these very valuable skills, but we have data. Like in social media, we have so much data all the time. I've been really lucky to have been heavily invested in. So I have lots of media monitoring software and social listening software. So I am able to present a full booklet, if you want, hundreds of pages on here's how everything that you've said in the past month was received, or here's how the senior staff as a whole is perceived. Here's how the university is perceived. And so we have the luxury of being able to put numbers to everything we're saying. So if you are really struggling, you've tried to get them to trust you, you've tried to share your experience, show them the numbers. You have these numbers at your fingertips. And that's powerful.
I always refer to it as speak the love language, whether if it's faculty, pulling scholarship, some executives with the data. Teresa, how has that data helped inform you in other ways you've given Rachel access?
So I will tell you probably one of my proudest moments was when Rachel came in. I hadn't been here long, and I had put out something, and I don't even remember now what it was. That's how inconsequential it was in comparison to what Rachel said. She walked in and she showed me sort of the reach and the impact of some of the different communications and different modalities. And she said, and your tweet on Twitter was the most liked and popular thing we did this whole week. What? I mean, I'm telling you, it may not have been viral, but it might just as well have been based on how that felt. That felt so good. It was reaffirming. Now, if the message was different, because there have been weeks that was not going to be the message, right? It wasn't like yours was the most liked. It might be yours was the most boring. What are you doing? So I don't think it's going to tell me quite that. But the truth is that it's like, how do you create this sense where you can walk in the door and tell me this didn't work or this did work, let's do this. Because I do see the evidence. I think as leaders, we don't have the luxury of just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what will stick. We have to have data-informed practice. And so I agree completely with what Rachel is saying about that level of sophisticated analysis. But then also I would suggest having the ability to walk in the door and deliver that news no matter what. So I can't get defensive about that. That's the fact. And ultimately, there's no point in being defensive. I'm the one who created a communication, so I better be able to stand behind it and say, okay, you're right. We do need to change how I communicate with this audience or how often I'm doing something or when. So I will say my calendar, Rachel has complete access to. So every single thing I do, where I'm going to be, at which times, and literally that's personal and professional engagements, she knows it all. I think she knew my wedding before I had announced it to my children. She's like, it's on the calendar. Oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. Because I got married about a year ago, almost a year ago. And so I know, so exciting. And so it was really important when I first arrived, the chief of staff said, so I just want to check in with you on this calendar thing, because most chancellors are pretty protective with the calendar. And so I don't know who you want to have access, but I've already had a request from Rachel to know if she could have access to it. I'm like, sure. What have I got to hide? I mean, my life is lived in a fishbowl. And many people, if you've ever lived in residence life, like you've lived on campus, you know what that means for sure, because you've lived it. Like every single action you take, everything you do, people are around you all the time and they see it where you work. So as a chancellor, same. Whether I'm in Walmart, I better be wearing my university brand. I better have my mask. I better have my things that stand out. I don't forget who I am wherever I go. I'm that person, and I don't ever divorce myself, nor would I want to, from the role that I play here at the university. So I have to do that on social media just as much as I do in person with anyone else. But that access to the calendar allowed Rachel to know, oh, this is going to be her first time attending something. I want to be there to experience that. And my guess is she'll want selfies, which I do. I'm a huge selfie taker. So I love to do that. I love to get students in the pictures. I love to make sure that it's action oriented. And I use different platforms for different things. So you're going to find I'm using Twitter for more narrative concepts with students or to comment on things that they're posting about. I'm going to use Instagram primarily for still photos, but really action oriented, sometimes video. Obviously, Snapchat with video and TikTok with a lot of fun, creative things. And that's been so helpful during a global pandemic where people just wanted to connect back to the campus they love and maybe couldn't be on it. So it was fun during that time, although also awful, if that makes sense. I came into work every single day. I was in my office on this campus every single day because I was not around anyone else. Everyone else was working remotely. And so as a result, I was taking videos and creating video content so that people still felt like they were connected even to the campus squirrels that I'm pretty sure are animatronic and sent here to watch me and make sure I'm actually working every day. So I had to create my TikTok around that. It's watching me to make sure I'm working and I'm here. I'm on campus, guys. I'm earning my keep. And it's been helpful then for her to know what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, when I'm doing it. And we often send each other little TikTok videos like, oh my gosh, I just saw this from this school and would love to create something like that. Or why don't we challenge them to a dual, I mean, it's just fun to see that happening on lots of campuses that we can engage with them as well. So that's another thing that we've done. Just a little strategy that works.
I might add that she's a really good sport. So if I send her a video like, hey, can you dance about this? Or she had told me, I think in a text or maybe in a forum, that she had set up a volleyball net. And so when we were remote, I had several of our volleyball players do a TikTok where they were like volleying the ball across, and then it would come down in front of the other person. And she went out there and made her kids film her with her volleyball. And so she's such a good sport. And the fact that we can communicate on all of those platforms, you know, she doesn't have to download a TikTok to send it to me. I'm on TikTok, she sends it, and we're watching it at the same time. It's so nice to just have that open relationship and communication. And we are sending each other a lot of things that are just cute or fun. And it balances the times we have to have difficult conversations, because I can say, look how cute this is. Or she can say, hey, get the mascot. and we can strategize a little more simply beyond the times when we have to really plan and calendar and think really far ahead.
Yeah, I think people have enjoyed just watching something that's authentic and fun. There are not enough things that happen that are celebratory and just fun and lighthearted. And we do it because we enjoy each other. We enjoy the place. We enjoy letting you see how this really is and operates every day. We enjoy helping you build your spirit and esprit de corps. And so has been one of the joys of working together on this. We do that constantly, giving each other feedback. And then there are things like, oh my gosh, your dog's behind you in our video. Atticus, how are you? Like we know each other on that level now that we've seen each other's homes. We've, been introduced to the intimate parts of life that, normally I probably wouldn't be in your house, Josie, but there it is. And so I know. And so as we've done that, we have to also keep in mind what that means for students or for our employees who don't want you in their homes or share with other people. And I remember one day being on a platform with an employee who was literally sitting on the floor of his bathroom. But I don't have another place to go to talk to you. That was really pretty surprising, unexpected in some ways. And then ultimately, we just went with it. But I think for all of us, it's also remembering what else you're showing people in social media. What else is there that you're not talking about? It's not really the part of the video, but remembering the background and the context for everyone. It's also important for us to remember we have so much privilege. I mean, we do. We have the ability to dance. We have the ability to speak and to hear and to see. And we have the ability to use these platforms. We have the commitment institutionally with our funding to invest in some of these things. I don't ever take that for granted. And so it's important for us to also just acknowledge that and realize that the people who are part of this discussion today have very different levels of access to some of the resources we're talking about. And we have had to build from the ground up. Our institution was a 2-year community college for the first 70 some odd years of existence, 71, I think. And then we've only been a 4-year institution for the last 20. And so for us, it's been about maturing the messaging while still having fun, while enjoying and remembering that the majority audience may be traditional college age, but we also have a lot of adult learners and people who are coming back to college as seasoned professionals in their career paths and wanting to complete that college degree. And so we need to make sure we understand every student audience and every employee audience and all the other stakeholders.
Well, the relational approach, both on the screen and then behind the scenes, is very, very apparent.